Hey guys, how's it going? It's Baggins here, and as you've seen from today's title, we're going to be talking about Hyper Scape in 2021. The future of the game. Is it dead? Does it have a chance? And if so, what cards does it need to play to secure itself a chance of returning to popularity in the new year? But before we dive into that, a quick word from our sponsor. Tree of Life Adria is a new survival sandbox MMO coming out in Q1 of this year. It's got a bunch of cool features in it, including the ability to build your base, your village, anywhere you would like with a number of friends. It is multiplayer. There is PvP and PvE, so you got to be prepared to defend that base from other players who are on the island as well as the local wildlife. There's a crafting system, there's a leveling system, a bunch of different skills which will allow you to craft more powerful weapons, mine and gather more exotic materials on the island, and in turn use those to create stronger and stronger weapons to beat out the opposition. There's also a player-driven economy, a day-night system, and a bunch of other cool features. If you guys are interested in the game, make sure to add it to your Steam wishlist as you're seeing on the screen here. Also, I'll put a link to it in the description down below. Thank you very much, Tree of Life Adria developers, for sponsoring this video. So at the time of recording, Hyper Scape has been out for 5, nearly 6 months now, so over the half of the year that it's been out, it's been quite a roller coaster of player numbers and popularity for the game. Initially launching, I think, in early July, sort of following the similar Apex strategy of not really talking about the game until it's actually there and playable, going through the Twitch drop system like we saw with Valorant. It did hit a pretty big spike of popularity with its initial PC launch, and then that sort of wavered a bit and people dropped off naturally, as you know, Twitch streamers and YouTubers seem to be paid to play it once and then they'll go back to whatever their general content is. However, the game did see another resurgence in popularity when it came out on console, albeit maybe not as big as its initial PC release. Now, some people say that one of the reasons why Hyper Scape is struggling or is, close to being a dead game now is because of this delay between the PC and the console launch. If they did it all at the same time, it would have been much better for the game. But I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think there were inherent issues with the launch of the game. Some relating to balance, some relating to the skill requirements of the game. And without getting too much into it, I think a popular Twitch streamer, Tfue, has a pretty good take on one of the initial problems that Hyper Scape experienced on PC, and maybe to some degree on console as well.
The real question is, how boring is Hyper Scape? Hyper Scape's easily the most enjoyable game right now. Hyper Scape has minimal bullshit in it, and it rewards aim. So for me, Hyper Scape's the least frustrating and most skill rewarding game. The problem with Hyper Scape is I don't think it's going to do well because it takes skill, so that's probably just going to make the game die. Majority of the gamers nowadays are fucking extremely untalented and complete and total dog shit, which is fine, but...
Now, obviously, that's just the opinion of one man, but I do think there is a lot of truth that lies in there. When I compare Hyper Scape to other battle royales that I play, there is minimal RNG in this game. There's sort of chances that you would get or at least currently anyway, chances that you get a fully fused weapon or, a piece of really unfair gear that puts you way ahead of the opponents at the start of the game seems very slim. It is minimal RNG, and just the way that you get ahead in Hyper Scape, or at least the way it was, is that you had to be a good player. If you had good aim, good movement, you would perform well in Hyper Scape, and if you didn't have those, then you would lose. So there was no real catch-up mechanic, nothing to hold the new player's hand. It would just be, jump in and you get wrecked, or you wreck other people. Now, that sounds pretty good in my opinion. I think a lot of gamers would say, yeah, well, I want a game that rewards people who are skilled. But as it turns out, that just doesn't seem to be the case. Based on the game's sort of initial drop in players, it seemed to be that if you weren't highly skilled, it was pretty difficult to enjoy the game. And whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of us as gamers aren't, the top esports athletes. We're just, average gamers trying to have a bit of fun. And it's not really that enjoyable to get dunked on over and over again by these, top performers in every lobby that you come into. Now, Hyper Scape has made a lot of changes over the past few months, some that you probably won't be aware of, where they have tried to help with this new player experience through balancing and aim assist. A lot of controversial changes for the sort of hardcore community of Hyper Scape, but aim assist with a controller now, and even with mouse and keyboard, can be pretty extreme, especially with some weapons like the Harpy SMG. They've also been improving or making stronger the newbie-friendly weapons like the D-Tap, which is a pistol that literally aims for you, and some of the explosive weapons like the Komodo have seen pretty radical buffs as well. So the weapons that previously were very skill-demanding but also had a big payoff, and now pretty similar in terms of power level to the weapons that have a low skill requirement. So you can be pretty damn effective with the pistol that aims for you as you can be with the weapons that require, more extreme aim like the sniper rifle and the Riot 1 revolver. Now, whether this is a good thing or not, I think that just lies with the individual, but I do think this is one of the contributing factors to Hyper Scape's initial loss of players is because it was too hard for a lot of people to play. So maybe with the game seeing a resurgence, or hopefully seeing a resurgence in 2021, if there is going to be a big chunk of new players coming in again with like some big marketing push or something, hopefully they will find the game easier to play. I do think that Hyper Scape really could benefit from a tutorial that explains the fundamentals of jumping, crouching, sliding. Movement in Hyper Scape, in my opinion, is one of the most important tools in the game, and it's what sets aside a good player from a great player or a bad player to a good player. So yeah, just explaining the core fundamentals of movement in Hyper Scape in some sort of tutorial, I think would be very beneficial for Ubisoft. But what are some other options that we could see Ubisoft play with Hyper Scape in order to increase the player numbers and increase the popularity of the game? Well, we recently saw the game come out on the Epic Game Store, and whilst the console players won't have noticed this because there is no crossplay currently between PC and console, it did see a pretty big uptick in the number of people playing on PC. I heard from one of the Ubisoft developers themselves that the PC player population upon the day of the Epic Game Store release increased 10 times. Now, if there's only 200 people playing, that's only going from 200 to 2,000, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a tremendous amount of people. But if that's what we can see from Epic Game Store, then maybe a Steam release would also be pretty beneficial if we're going into sort of Season 3 big relaunch of Hyper Scape. Now, would Ubisoft actually release Hyper Scape on Steam? I think the only people who can answer that question are actually Ubisoft themselves. They do seem to have an aversion to putting games on Steam based on a business decision they made last year, or now 2 years ago, I guess. And a large part of this is due to the fact that Steam takes a pretty significant portion of revenue from the game as opposed to Epic. I think it's something like 30% on Steam versus 12% from Epic. But it is undeniable that Steam does have a lot of players, and in a game that needs players to function, a battle royale, if you want to fill the lobbies up, you do need a lot of players. Potentially, we could see them trying Steam. I don't really know the full intricacies of it here. And honestly, I would have to talk to somebody higher up at Ubisoft to get a full answer on this. But maybe it is a possibility, something that could happen with Hyper Scape in Season 3 in 2021. In terms of the console side of things, we recently had crossplay. I haven't actually played on the Xbox recently. I don't have a PS4 or a PS5 for that matter. But I do think Hyper Scape would make for a great game to be played on the next generation of consoles and potentially the Switch as well. Again, I'm really not well versed in what Ubisoft games are available on the Switch. There hasn't been any word from them as to whether Hyper Scape would come out on the Nintendo Switch, and indeed what the market would look like for that. I don't know how many sort of Battle Royale or FPS players are playing on the Nintendo Switch, but that is another card that Ubisoft could play to sort of up those player lobbies by, hitting a new market, a new section of players that previously haven't had any exposure to Hyper Scape. So let's talk specifically about Season 3. Now, there has been a lot of speculation and questions over when we'll see Season 3 in Hyper Scape. Originally, it was planned for some time in December, but due to some decisions made from the developers, they've decided to delay Season 3 and extend Season 2. Now, how long this extension lasts, nobody really knows. There is no public information out there. However, somebody did a bit of delving. They posted this image in my Discord here, showing that a bundle for Season 2, so some skins or cosmetic content that you can buy for the game, expires at the end of February. So does that mean that Season 2 is going to last throughout all of January and February? Well, personally, as a YouTuber and somebody who makes content out of the game, I hope that's not the case. I feel that that is a pretty long period of time to go just sitting in Season 2 without any significant updates to the game. I'm going to imagine that the next huge update that we get for Hyper Scape, potentially a new map or new weapon, new hack, would be with Season 3. But this is the only real clear evidence I've seen of a date so far for when we might see Season 3 happen. We do know that a new hack does sort of exist in the game. If you didn't see the Team Deathmatch streams that we did sort of in November, December, in one of them there was a hack that was enabled called the Firewall, which kind of functioned as a barricade. So it was like a transparent shield that allowed you to shoot through, but enemies couldn't shoot back through it at you. Pretty cool. For reasons of it being just a test, we didn't upload this full video to YouTube, but I think I can put a link to the VOD in the description down below if that stream hasn't sort of expired. With every new season that we've had, so Season 1 and Season 2, there has been a new weapon and a new hack to come into the game, albeit in Season 2 it was the platform hack, which kind of was in, but then has been taken out. It's still sort of residually there, but we only really see it in limited time game modes. So yeah, the Firewall definitely looking a bit more exciting than the wall turned on its side. New weapons, there's been no mention or leaks of anything new there. Personally, I would love to see like a plasma gun or like an electronic longbow or something like that. I think some sort of projectile-based weapon that is similar to the sniper could be pretty cool. One last topic that I want to talk about on Hyper Scape, and I think it is a pretty important one, and I really don't know the answer here, is skill-based matchmaking. Now, this is obviously something that would help quite a lot with that problem of new players getting dunked on by experienced players. However, it does come with a lot of problems. Recently, I saw Call of Duty Cold War launched, and there was a lot of people complaining about skill-based matchmaking in that game. Now, my understanding is in Cold War, the skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM, applied to casual game modes. So even if you're just playing like a quick play version of the game, you are still being matchmaked with players of similar skill. Now, generally the reason why gamers don't like this is because sometimes they just want to jump in and, just for lack of a more eloquent way to put this, they just want to wreck the noobs, you know? Sometimes it is fun to just go in and feel like you're powerful, you know? Feel the result of all of the training and hours that you put into the game when you can just go in and, you know, kind of dominate a lobby. But if every single time that you're playing the game, you have to perform your utmost best, there is no chill way to play the game, really. Now, I do think that skill-based matchmaking makes a tremendous amount of sense in a ranked game mode. Like, if you are playing ranked and you're trying to go up in division, you should be playing against players of similar skill. I think that makes a lot of sense. But skill-based matchmaking in terms of quick play, in terms of just a casual match, I'm not so sold on it. I do think that it will ultimately detract from the player experience and the sort of problem that people have in Hyper Scape, where they feel like it's always try hard 100% of the time, is kind of still going to be there if they added skill-based matchmaking, and especially for those who stream and make videos on the game. Not that they are always the best gamers by any means, you know, there are a lot of us are pretty bad at games. Just getting a nice chill match where you want to do a challenge or something, you know, you want to try and play the game using only this weapon, is going to be really difficult if every game you're being put against players of similar skill to you. You're kind of going to be forced to try hard every single time, so yeah, skill-based matchmaking, a bit of a weird one. I think an example of a game that did it pretty well was Spellbreak, where in the first couple games of Spellbreak that you play, you actually are against bots. Like, you're only against new players and bots. I don't think it should always stay that way, just to fully clarify. Believe me, I know that bots in Battle Royales do often detract from the fun, but I do think that for the new player experience, it would be a good idea to just sort of ease them in by putting them in these heavily, you know, bot matches. But that's just my take on it. This is really something that I would love to hear from you guys. What's your take on skill-based matchmaking in Hyper Scape and just in Battle Royales in general? Do you think it needs to be there all of the time, just for ranked, some sort of in-between? Let me know what you're thinking in those comments down below. And really, that's all I've got to say on Hyper Scape when it comes to the future. I definitely think there is a lot of potential still here for this game. In my opinion, one of the core aspects and one of the things that makes Hyper Scape the most fun is the fast-paced nature of the game and the movement system. So anything that leans more into this and sort of explains that is what the game is about to new players is going to be good for the game. If they have some way to create more involvement with the characters where you feel more attached to them, I definitely think that would help as well. You know, when I compare this game to Apex Legends, I can think of a lot of voice lines, and you know, when I think of Octane or Wraith or Gibraltar, I instantly have these thoughts in my head of what that character is and how they act. Whereas when it comes to characters in Hyper Scape like Ace or Amandine, or I actually can't really name many of the characters. I think that the problem lies there, in that they're just not really memorable. So I don't really know what the way is to get around this. I don't know if there's any way you can create more attachment with the characters when you have just characters that are effectively skins with voice packs. But I think Fortnite does this pretty well, where you have these sort of really goofy skins like the banana guy, and that creates a lot of attachment just through the sort of meme culture there. So maybe just adding more memes to Hyper Scape is really the solution here. Anyway, that's it for the video, guys. Once again, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. Make sure you check out the link in the description down below. Add the game to your Steam wishlist. Thank you very much, Tree of Life Audria, for sponsoring this video. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed it, make sure you go ahead and click the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.